Hi guys. So this is actually Katie of the future. This is post-editing Katie popping in at the beginning of this episode for a little warning. This episode is going to come with some realness because I noticed after filming for over an hour and getting ready to edit that I had had lipstick on my teeth for the entirety of episode 69. Now, I could have made one of two choices. I could have decided to take another hour and a half or couple of hours out of my day off, which incidentally is a day off with Emrys, to reshoot the entire thing because I was embarrassed about having lipstick on my teeth. Or I could have gone with the general feeling of the entire episode, which was just go with it. So I went for the second option. Suffice it to say, I'm a real person. Sometimes I look like a bit of an idiot, but I hope that you will forgive that and overlook the lipstick on the teeth incident and just enjoy this episode of Inside number 23. I'm human. What can I say? It's pretty funny. I look like a bit of an idiot, but yeah, that's it. Enjoy! And welcome back to Inside number 23, my little part of the interwebs, which is all about knitting and sewing and generally living the craftiest life possible. My name is Katie and you can find me pretty much everywhere on social media as Miss Lavelli, although I am most active on Instagram, and I'm coming to you as always from Hertfordshire, which is just north of London in the UK, where I live with my husband Emrys and our gorgeous little pug puppy Trolley. And I just want to say a big hello and welcome back to any of my long-term viewers, and a huge big welcome to anybody who's new. Thank you so much for coming to spend a little bit of time with me this week. And yeah, it's been a little while. It's been basically 2 weeks since I did a full podcast. I did do a PomFest episode last week all about my time at PomFest, surprisingly. But in terms of a full podcast format, it's been 2 weeks. So it's really lovely to come back to share a little bit of time with you again. So hooray! If you want to get in touch with me, please drop me an email. I don't reply to personal messages on platforms like Instagram or Ravelry, but I do have an email address, which is katie@insidenumber23.com, so do please feel free to drop me a line there and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. It's been a bit of a crazy week this week, as you'll know if you've been following me, kind of watching the podcast and following me on social media. I've had quite a big change happen this last week. I had my last day at my now previous job, which was all a little bit strange and intense. And this coming week I will be starting my new job, which is all very exciting, but I'm the type of person who gets a little bit anxious when it comes to change, so it all feels like everything's a little bit intense and in flux. In terms of all of your well wishes, thank you so much for everybody who's kind of sent me a bit of positivity regarding all of these changes going on. I really appreciate it more than you can know. And as I've said previously, I haven't yet shared any information about the new role that I'm going into, but if I am able to, obviously I will fill you in at a later date. But for now, just be kind of happy to know that I am happy. I'm feeling really good about this change, and although it's a little bit scary, it's also exciting. So yeah, it has impacted my craftiness, I would say, a little bit, because everything's felt, like I said, a little bit in flux, but I do have some really lovely things to share with you this week. It's going to be a pretty jam-packed episode, and yeah, I'm really excited to kind of get on with everything. Okay, let's get on to the real kind of juicy bits of the podcast, shall we? Juicy bits? That sounds a little bit suspect, doesn't it? But moving swiftly onwards, it's my first segment, and as always, it is What Am I Wearing? And it's an oldie but a goodie today. I felt like cracking out the pussycat dress today, my little kitty cat dress. This dress, if you haven't seen it previously, and I appreciate that the majority of you most likely have, is made with the Robe Bleuet pattern by Deer and Doe. It is currently discontinued, I am sorry, but it is in the process of being re-released, which is very exciting. And obviously as soon as it's back into print, I will let you guys know. But it's a button-up dress. This is the third version of the dress that I have made. So I have 3 of these in my wardrobe. It's made with this ridiculously cute, kitschy cat fabric, which I got on sale at John Lewis, and I also embroidered the little kitty cat collar on it as well, because who doesn't want an embroidered kitty cat collar on their dress? I really, really love this dress. It's actually very, very comfortable and easy to wear. It's one of the reasons that I love this pattern in general, is that it requires very little effort in terms of looking kind of nicely put together in an outfit, and it's just relaxed. It's not too structured, so it's comfortable, and yeah, I really, really love it. The next time I make one of these dresses, I am considering finding a way to put some kind of pockets into it, because at the moment that's the only thing that it lacks, is pockets. But because of its A-line shape, I'm a little bit apprehensive in terms of putting pockets in. Maybe patch pockets could be a thing, I'm not sure. Ideas on a postcard, possibly, guys, for the sewists amongst you who've worked with similar shapes. But I love it, and I will definitely be making more versions in the future. Right, I think it's time for some knitting content, don't you? It's been a little while since I've showed you what I've been working on, and I'm pretty pleased with the amount that I've managed to get done. I actually have one finished object to share with you this week, which is really, really exciting, particularly because it's been on the needles for quite a long time, and its completion kind of marks I feel like it's a relatively important moment in my current knitting life. I'm kind of babbling a little bit. I'm just going to show you exactly what it is. And it is a finished pair of socks! Yay! So these socks have actually been on my needles for quite a ridiculous amount of time. This pattern is the Prairie socks pattern. It is a pattern by lovely, lovely Kay Jones of Bakery Bears, and I have 2 socks. They are not entirely matched because, as you'll see, for the first sock, I used this lovely kind of lavender colour, which was a mini that I got from, I believe, Willy Wonka Fibres, and I used it for the heel and toe. By the time I got to the second sock, I realised I didn't have enough for a contrast toe. So they're a little bit mismatched, but I kind of like them for that. I think it kind of makes them a little bit endearing, but I love this pattern. It works really, really well with this speckled yarn. I think it still shows off the yarn, but it has this lovely bit of kind of a faux cable twisted stitch running through it. I think it looks lovely. It was really interesting to knit. It also has this really cute Eye of Partridge heel. And yeah, it's really, really lovely. I am thrilled that these are off the needles. And one of the main reasons that I'm so thrilled that these are finally done is that I no longer have any socks on the needles. This is kind of insane because up until recently I had about 3 or 4 languishing works in progress in terms of socks that I had just not finished, and now I have no socks on the needles. And I'm very tempted to cast on more, but part of me is resisting that urge because I do have a lot of garment languishing bits that haven't been worked on for some time, and I'd really like to crack on with some of those because, as you'll see, just behind me here, I actually did a little bit of stash rejigging after all of my lovely acquisitions from PomFest, and I've reorganised a lot of my yarn. And just this top section here, there are some kind of individual skeins, but there's 3 sweater quantities of yarn just in here, and that doesn't actually include the sweater quantity that I have here and the other maybe 4 or 5 sweater quantities that I have in my study. So I have a lot of yarn that I want to get on the needles, but I feel like I need to get some projects off the needles first. So resisting the urge to cast on socks because they are very addictive and they do take up my time, and I think it might be nice to put that energy into something else. But this yarn, I'm going to put the name of this yarn just on the screen down at the bottom somewhere because I can never remember the whole name, but it is by Magical Molly of a Homespun House, and it was one of her Harry Potter Club colourways. I call these socks my Magical Me socks because they remind me of Gilderoy Lockhart as something that he would wear completely and utterly, and they are actually one of my personal entries for my own Harry Potter cal, which I didn't mention at the beginning of this episode, but it is an ongoing year-long cal that I'm hosting, that I will draw prizes for basically at the end of each month. So for more details, do head over to my Ravelry group for that. But yeah, another completed pair of socks. So that's a lot of pair of socks in the last month or so. And I love them. I can't wait for it to be a little bit cooler so that I can wear all of these socks that I finished. Obviously, I need to weave in the ends. Lazy knitter and not actually weaving in my ends, but once I do that, I'm going to give them a gentle block because they haven't been blocked just yet, and then they will be going into my box of socks to be kept until it's a little bit cooler. And I just love them. I'm so happy with them, but like I said, I do think socks may take a bit of a back seat. I do, in terms of smaller projects, still have a hat project on the needles for Emrys. I am knitting him another of Kay's patterns, the angel hat, because he loved my bright yellow stranded dye works limoncello version, which I love so much. Oh my goodness, that hat is amazing. So he wants one of those. I hopefully will get that finished next in terms of smaller projects, but there's a lot of skeins behind me here as well that are destined for hats, be they kind of more cable-y hats or even just sock head hats. So hats may be the thing that I do alongside garments as opposed to socks. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But yes, it feels quite tumultuous that I have no socks on the needles. I'm not sure if that was the word that I meant, but we're going with it. We're going with it. So that is the only finished object that I have to share with you guys this week, but I do have 2 works in progress, and these projects at the moment are pretty much the only things that I'm knitting on. I do have a lot of, like I said, languishing whips, but these are the 2 things that I desperately want to get finished as soon as possible because I am working to deadlines with both of them. And knitting to deadlines is not usually something that I am the best at, if I'm completely honest. The kind of stress gets to me a little bit. But with these projects, I love them both so much that it's not really affecting me too badly. The first one that I'm going to share with you is actually a brand new cast on for this week. I actually cast it on 3 days ago, including today. I've basically had 3 days, including this morning, knitting on it, and it's already grown quite considerably, and I'm very excited with it. It's actually a gift knit as well. It's not a selfish knit. It's not for me. Well, it couldn't be for me anyway, which you'll see when you see it, but it's not for me to use. It's actually a gift for a very lovely individual whom I don't think actually watches the podcast, but I'm not going to mention who it's for just in case. But I think we're safe. I think we're safe for me to be able to share this project on here. And it's very different for me because it's the first time that I have ever knit something of this kind. I'm being very elusive, aren't I? But yes, it is actually a little baby jumper. Isn't it adorable? Oh my goodness, this is just, it's just sickeningly cute. This is the first time that I've ever knit up a baby garment or a child's garment, so it's a bit of a learning curve, but I can see why so many people do knit a lot of things for their kids, because this thing is just flying off the needles. It is adorable. I picked this pattern, let me just show you the back, it's slightly easier to show what's going on from the back. This is a Tin Can Knits jumper pattern, and it's called I Heart Rainbows. This is the sweater, but it does have a little hat edition in that pattern. I believe that the hat pattern is actually available for free, but if you buy the sweater pattern, you get the hat included in the kind of the details. So at the moment, I'm only planning to knit the sweater, but if I finish this in really good time, I may knit the little matching hat as well, because I love matchy, and this is really cute. It is the first colour work that I've done in a while. If I can just show you the yoke here, it is kind of puckering a little bit. It's not the best Fair Isle that I've ever done, but it has this rainbow at the top and a rainbow down below, and then this lovely cute heart Fair Isle yoke. And I think it's adorable. I do think it's a little bit puckery in places, as you can kind of see. My hope is that with blocking it will relax itself a little bit, and any of the kind of puckers in the yarn will even themselves out a little bit. My only concern with that is that the main body of the yarn, so this kind of blue, which I absolutely love because this just looks so 80s, it kind of makes my head hurt. I love that kind of 80s look. But this yarn that I used is actually Serda. I'm terrible with names. You know, the brand, I'm going to call it Serdar. We're going with Serdar. That's basically my catchphrase for this. We're going with that. Going with Serdar. This is their Snuggly 4-ply, and it's actually an acrylic blend of yarn, so I believe it's a combination of nylon and acrylic. It's very soft. It's great for baby knits, obviously for the individual that I'm making this for their baby. I'm not sure how keen they would be on doing a lot of hand washing with knits, and basically all of the yarns that I've used in here are either the acrylic blend from this or superwash, so it can be washed kind of gently, and then as long as it's dried flat it will be absolutely fine. But I'm hoping, obviously with acrylic it doesn't block in the same way that wool does, but the colour work, the hearts that I have done on here are a superwash merino nylon blend, so at least those parts will kind of relax a little bit, so I'm hoping it will look a little bit flatter, but it's not the end of the world if it doesn't block out beautifully. In terms of the other yarns that I used for the rainbow, it's all kind of little scrap yarns. So I used a white, which I believe was opal. I'm pretty sure it was opal yarn, the white. The kind of pinky red colour that I use in both the rainbow and the hearts, and the neon-y blue colour were both minis that I have from Mother of Pearl, from when I've made socks with her yarn previously. The yellow is Rosie's Moments. The purpley kind of colour is Anzula Fibres, and then the kind of neon-y rainbow stripe that I have at the bottom is Berenvilla. So yes, a lot of love has gone into this, and now that I've done the more demanding part, which is obviously the colour work around the yoke, and how cute is this? It has this little built-in detail where you just need to sew buttons in and then it does up, and it's adorable. I am knitting the body and then knitting the sleeves, and we'll be good to go basically. So I very much recommend the pattern. As with a lot of tin can knits patterns, it has a really good variety of sizing. I think this is preemie size all the way up to 4 years old, so granted it's not as wide a sizing as they do for a lot of their patterns, because some of them it's newborn all the way up to like 4XL for a grown man. But maybe they didn't think that this pattern would be appropriate for a grown man, maybe. But it's a really lovely pattern to work from. It's very clear, it's beautifully presented, and it's just a really cute little thing, isn't it? I think it's going to be amazing when it's finished. I am knitting it on my Higher Sharp interchangeable needles, which are my needles of choice. I love them, and I do have on here my little Sugar Tots Progress Keeper, my little narwhal, whom I affectionately call Norman the narwhal, and he's kind of showing me how much I've done. Literally, this was maybe about an hour's worth of knitting this morning. It's zooming off the needles. It's going to be finished very soon, but I'm really enjoying it, and it's just fun. It's fun to do something small with a little bit of interest, and I really hope that the recipient of it appreciates it and enjoys it, because I've just really loved working on it. Yay! My next and final work in progress for what's on my needles is living in my Yarn Seller Studios Garsley's bag, And yes, it's what you anticipate it to be. It is my Oracle shawl, my test knit for the lovely, amazing Kristen of Wool and Vine Yarns. And I have been putting a lot of time into this shawl over the past week because I'm coming up to the deadline for the test knit and I am desperate to do this within the time limits for Kristen because it's an amazing pattern and she's a very good friend and I don't want to let her down. It's going to be difficult for me to show you this because it's on a needle, but there's so many stitches in this now, you guys. It's all smushed up. It kind of looks like a bag. A little kind of weird bag, like a, you know, like a grocery bag or something like that. But it's not going to look like a grocery bag when it's finished, you guys. It's going to look incredible, but I have done a lot of work on this. I do not want to drop any stitches either, so I'm doing this weird thing with my needles just to try and keep everything. But I'm going to try and spread out a little bit so that I can show you everything that I have done. So here we go. So it's a combination of brioche and lace stitches. So you can see at the beginning I've done brioche, lace section, brioche section, lace section, brioche section, and I'm now onto the final lace section. So once this lace section has been knit and bound off, it's finished. But there's a lot of stitches on here, you guys, a lot of stitches, and although I love it, it's taking a long time to get finished. So I really need to invest some time in this, mostly because I cannot wait to see what this will look like when it's blocked out, because these colours just, I mean, see how well they go with this outfit. This shawl with this dress is just amazing. In terms of yarn that I'm using, it is all Wool and Vine yarns on her Nouveau Singles base. And the colours, this kind of mauvey pink colour is Fairy Hair. The black is Grim. And then the gorgeous, my favourite colour in this whole thing is this kind of speckledy white with mauve and green and gold and gorgeousness, is Enjoy the Silence, which is why I'm so excited about the section that I'm now on. As you can probably tell from the colour around the needle, I'm into the lace section with Enjoy the Silence, and I just love this yarn so much. This pattern is incredible, you guys. You need to buy a copy when it comes out. I believe Kristen is hoping for the 1st of August in terms of its release, but it's been such a joy to work on. I can't even tell you. I mean, you can just see this is going to open and bloom and just be stunning when it's done. And what I would say is, with the kind of hectic, crazy intensity of my life over the past kind of month or so, I would say working on this has been an absolute joy. It is so therapeutic and so meditative, and just watching it grow and turn into something, I mean, it's going to be huge. You can tell it's going to be ginormous, and I can't wait, and I want to wear it, and I want to just display it because it's beautiful. I am so happy with it. Let's pop it around so you can actually see the right side of it. I'm so happy with it, and it's so Kristen. Like, these colours, obviously they are her colours. They're just, I mean, it's just the epitome of Kristen, which is basically what comes out in all of her yarns. They express who she is beautifully. But yes, I'm desperate to get this finished and blocking because I just want to see how huge it gets and how amazing it is. And when these lace panels open out, that's just going to be ridiculous. I'm so excited about it. It's gonna be huge, it's gonna be huge. But yeah, those are basically the two things that I am working on at the moment, because this I want to get finished with the test knit. The other is for a baby shower, so I'm kind of on a deadline for that one as well. But yeah, it's been really fun moving between the two and the two different kinds of knitting, and I am really enjoying working on bigger projects. I know just like a couple of weeks ago I was raving about socks and how much I love socks, but I think I've spent quite a lot of time with Amy recently, Amy of Stranded Dye Works, and she's always working on garments, and it just makes me itch to make garments. So most likely a lot of garment knitting coming. Apparently I can't commit to one style of knitting. I just want to do all the things. From week to week my mood will change and I'll just do whatever I please and whatever makes my heart happy, because that's what we do here. And in case you're interested, I'm currently knitting this on the Chiaogu 4mm needles, the ones with the red lace cable. I love them for shawl knitting because I love the inflexibility of the cable. I find that it really helps to kind of keep my stitches nice and neat when I'm knitting a really big shawl, although I do wish that I had a larger cable because, like I said, it looks a little bit like a shopping bag, and for something this beautiful it shouldn't look like that. But yes, absolutely loving every second of working on this, and I cannot wait for it to be finished, cannot wait for the pattern to be out, and for all of you to be able to knit your own version of it because it's gorgeous. And yeah, that's everything that's on my needles this week. Small but perfectly formed. I feel like it's all about the quality rather than the quantity, and I'm very happy with everything that I have been working on. So yes, once I get some of these projects off the needles, I can start casting on some other things, which will be so exciting because, I mean, can you even handle how beautiful some of these skeins of yarn are? Because I cannot. Right, it has also been a very successful week this week for Owl Post, which is my next segment. I have been incredibly lucky to receive some really, really beautiful things from some incredible makers, and I just want to share some of the things that the lovely owls dropped through my letterbox this week. First of all, I received a really, really beautiful parcel from Beth of Beehive Yarns. Now, Beehive Yarns is based in the UK, which is great because I love buying things that are made in the UK so I don't have to pay a huge amount of customs when they come over. But she tends to, very much like her name kind of hints towards, bases her colours on kind of iconic styles within history. So fashion styles of the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, and I just love that. That is right up my alley. I'm a very, very big fan of vintage fashions, in case you didn't know. My entire aesthetic is based on a love of costumes and historical costume and historical fashions, and so when Beth asked if she could send a couple of skeins of yarn, I just got very, very excited. And the parcel that arrived this week kind of blew me away. She sent me 2 skeins of yarn. One is based very much on a 1940s look and one is based on a 1950s look. She guessed which one I would want to keep, and Beth, you got it 100% right because I'm in love with the 1940s one. But let me show you both of these just so that you can lose your mind a little bit over the beauty of them. She also sent some contrasting mini skeins to go with the larger skeins, which I think is lovely because they're almost like little sock sets, which is very exciting. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to start off with the one that I am definitely keeping. I mean, you have my number 100%, Beth, because this is the skein that I will be keeping. Isn't it beautiful? It's called Take the A Train, and it's based on a very 1940s style colourway. Let me just show it to you. Oh my goodness. So look at this, golds and greens and rich purpley beauty. There is her label, Beehive Yarns. This is her Bardo base, which is a superwash merino nylon blend, and it is stunning. This is the mini skein that was also sent with it, which is called Blackberry Lips, which I love. Oh, so gorgeous. So the second skein is the one that's based much more on a 1950s style, and I love this colourway. I absolutely love it, and I'm desperate to keep it for myself, but I can't keep everything for myself, so this one's going to be for you guys. Isn't that just insane? I love it. This is Atomic Flamingo, which is on her Audrey base, which is another superwash merino nylon, but in a slightly different blend. And just look at these colours. There's hot pink in there, there's black, there's red, this incredible sky blue. Her label again, absolutely gorgeous. And this mini comes with it, this kind of lipstick red, which is called Cape de Ville. I mean, can you even handle how amazing that is? Because I can't. In addition to the skeins of yarn, Beth was also kind enough to send some little bee themed progress keepers, which I think are absolutely gorgeous. One is a little bee, one is a little honeycomb with a bee, and everything that she has is so well put together. She has this kind of honeycomb pattern, which is very mod looking as well, which again is very appropriate for beehive, and I just love it. Every little detail is thought out. Even the tape that she uses, the washi tape, has a beehive kind of pattern on it. Attention to detail just gets me every time, and I think Beth is incredible. So do check out her shop. I will put her details in the down bar down below. The next parcel that arrived was from lovely Harriet of Harriet's House. I believe she is Harriet Naomi on Instagram, and I very, very much recommend that you check out her Instagram feed. But Harriet basically makes beautiful project bags, and the majority of the bags that she makes are made of Liberties of London fabric, which is just amazing and really, really, really gorgeous and exciting. And so when she offered to send a couple of bags my way, I must admit I was really, really, really excited. And she was kind enough to send 2 project bags our way. And you guys, can you even handle how amazing these are? So there are 2. There's this beautiful one, which is mostly reds and greens, and this one will most likely be staying with me because I love these colours. But the other one is kind of golden, pinks and red, and both of them have this really beautiful sparkly fabric at the top, and they are stunning. The craftsmanship of these is beautiful. Let me just grab her card. So there we have Harriet's House. Check her out on Etsy, and she also has a YouTube channel, so you should definitely give that a look as well. And the lovely, lovely thing is that both of these have progress keepers on this little D-ring on the outside. But how lovely is that? You could just pop a couple of progress keepers on there. These are beautiful, and like I said, the stitching is immaculate. The construction is just so well done, and like I said, I'm a big fan of attention to detail, and these have detail coming out the wazoo. Thank you so much, Harriet, for sending these bags. I think that they're absolutely beautiful. Definitely check out her Instagram, check out her Etsy, and show her some love. And yeah, I can't wait to include these in a giveaway at a later date. I have 2 more things to share with you. The first was sent to me by lovely Ellen, and I am probably going to horribly mispronounce your handle, Ellen. Let me give this a try. I've got my notes right in front of me here. Kalok Ellen, I believe, is how you pronounce it. Obviously, I will put it on the screen down here. And Ellen is in the process of setting up a shop for what she is producing, but she has not yet done so. So you can check her out on Instagram and on Facebook and show her some love. But she was kind enough to send 2 skeins of hand-dyed yarn. Da 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 da. And I believe she's included Mrs. Lamb Yarns is the name that I've got on these skeins, but I'm not sure if she's going to be continuing with that name or not with the Etsy shop, so just, you know, follow her on Facebook for more information. But she has 2 different skeins here. One is a BFL base, which is this lovely guy here. This is Jar of Stars, and it's all these lovely greens and yellows with a little bit of kind of pinky purple in there. And then we have this beautiful kind of variegated purple colourway as well, which is beautiful. It's on her Warsock base, which is a merino nylon blend, and it's the thistle colourway, which is so cute. I actually think that these 2 colourways would work quite nicely together, maybe. Yes, I quite like those. She was also kind enough to send 2 of her bags, and these are really, really cute. The first one, which is probably the one that will stay with me, is the Puggy fabric one. This is not a lined bag, so it's quite lightweight, but it has this lovely drawstring at the top. It's also a good size. It's quite long, so for socks you could kind of pop your yarn in the bottom, fold the top over. It's very, very cute with the fabric. The other one, and this one's quite a little bit thicker, which is lovely. I'm not sure if it's been interfaced or if it's just that the fabric is heavier, but it's flamingos, and on the inside it's this beautiful heart fabric, which is so cute. Again, a lovely drawstring with a bit of ribbon. I just think that would be really, really cute for a pair of socks. So thank you so much, Ellen, for sending those. It was incredibly kind of you, and best of luck with setting up your new Etsy shop. One more thing to be able to share with you guys, and this one's quite special. This was actually given to me at PomFest last week by the lovely, lovely Knit Gizmo, who is Jessica, and it was so lovely to meet you at PomFest, Jessica. I really, really just was kind of overwhelmed when you handed me this lovely gift. And we talked about making dresses, and she is becoming quite a prolific sewist, which is so exciting. She used to have a podcast, I believe, but I'm not sure whether she has podcast recently. But her shop is called Knit Gizmo Makes on Etsy, so I'd very much recommend checking her out, following her on Instagram, showing her some love, as with all of these beautiful people. But very, very excitingly, she handed me this project bag at PomFest. It's a Moomin! It's Moomin bag! I can't even handle how adorable this is. The inside fabric is pretty special too. It's this multicolored chevron print, but look at that Moomin. She also included some Moomin tea, which was really exciting. What's also really cute is her label has Knit Gizmo Makes written on it. It's like laser printed onto wood, and it's actually got a little clasp, so you could use it as a progress keeper. Thank you so much for this. I don't have anything Moomin really in my life, which is ridiculous, and I'm so happy to have this and to be able to give it a good home. And like I said, it was an absolute joy to meet you at PomFest, and hopefully we'll be able to meet up at some point in the future and have another little chat all about sewing and fun things, and yay! Before we move on to the final segment of the podcast, which is always general waffle, as we know, I did want to answer some Dear Katie questions. So this is basically my interactive part of the podcast. If you have a question that you would like to ask me, then do drop me an email with the subject title Dear Katie, and I will store your questions away and kind of answer them at random. It's not necessarily going to be answered the week that you send the email. Some people wait quite a long time, but I will get to them, and if I don't answer them on the podcast, I will obviously answer them with a direct email back to yourself. But I have 3 questions that I'm going to be looking at this week. So the first question for Dear Katie this week is from Casey. So thank you so much for getting in touch, Casey. And your email and your question is: I'm not sure whether or not you have discussed this in past episodes, but I was curious to know what inspired you to become a knitter. I find it quite interesting learning how fellow knitters began their knitting journeys. So this is quite interesting because, to be perfectly honest, I don't really think I was inspired to become a knitter, at least not when I started, because I was taught to knit by my mum when I was quite young. I think I was probably around about 10. So it wasn't a really huge, conscious, life-changing decision, although it now is a really massive part of my life. It was literally just something that we did together to kind of be creative and learn. So it wasn't really like inspiration from some incredible source. It was just a really, really lovely way to be able to spend time with my lovely mum. I suppose when I started knitting and becoming a knitter with a capital K, as it were, the main inspiration was just to be able to have a unique wardrobe. That's something that's always been very important to me. But other than that, it's always just been a hobby, a craft that was passed down to me through generations. And that makes me happy. So yeah. My next question is from Michelle, so thank you for getting in touch, Michelle. You started your message with some lovely things, so thank you so much for all of your thoughts and your comments. It's really appreciated. But your specific question was that you are turning 30 in September. Snap, I am also turning 30 in September. How exciting. And I want to ask for a nice sewing machine for my birthday. Which one do you use, and what hints or tips do you have for a beginner sewist? The machine that I currently use is actually a Janome machine. It's a very basic Janome. It doesn't have any kind of bells or whistles or anything. I think the most fancy thing that it came with was a buttonhole foot. I would say if you are going to get your first ever sewing machine, it's worthwhile getting something that isn't super basic. My Janome, I know it's relatively simple. It's a mechanical machine, so it's not all electronic and digital and fancy. And I like it for that because it means if anything goes wrong, I can kind of have a tinker around myself and most likely be able to fix any problems that it has. And I think that that's a good place to start with a mechanical machine. I would recommend, if you can, to try and go somewhere where you can actually try a machine properly, because like anything kind of machine wise, be it you know, a car or a computer or a sewing machine or a piano, it's very much a tactile experience, and I think you can only know what will really work for you if you actively sit down and feel how a machine works for you. It's very personal, and I like my machine, even though it's not all kind of bells and whistles. I understand how it works and I feel a connection to it when I use it. So I think that's probably my best advice, is not to necessarily go for the exact model that you've seen someone else use. It's finding one that works well for you, and obviously one that fits within your budget, because if you're going for a new machine, you probably don't want to drop a huge amount of money, and believe me, sometimes machines go for a lot of money. In terms of tips and tricks, I don't really have any, to be perfectly honest, for beginner sewists, because the thing that I've always said is if you take things slowly, step by step, one step at a time, you can learn to sew. I always say one of my first projects was actually a coat, and I don't have it anymore, and it wasn't perfect, but that was pretty much my first garment that I ever sewed, and that was very complicated. It wasn't just a simple A-line skirt, which is what a lot of people recommend that you start with. If I were to give any advice, it is literally just practice, and do not be afraid to get things wrong, because you will always get things wrong when you start out, but it's by doing that and making mistakes that you learn, and it's just perseverance and practice, like with any kind of discipline, I guess. And if you stick to it, then you'll be fine, and you will see a huge improvement. My final question of this week was sent to me by Deborah, so again, thank you for getting in touch, Deborah. And your question was, I currently have 2 scarves on the needles, and when they are finished, I want to move on to something else that would move my skills on a little, but I'm having trouble deciding. My choices are all things that I have never knit before: socks, a hat, a shawl, a blanket, cowl or gloves. I want to knit them all, but in what order? Are there any particular accessories that will teach me new skills, or is it just a case of picking just one? Okay, so again, what I always say is knit what makes you happy, because if you're not knitting something that brings you joy, you're not going to want to knit, and therefore you're not going to want to learn. However, it seems that the patterns that you've picked, you'd be quite interested in knitting any of them. So you've already got that kind of ticked off the list. I think that all of these things, all of these patterns that you've picked will most likely bring you a lot of pleasure. My advice would be start with something obviously different from the scarf that you're knitting, that doesn't require fit in terms of how it goes around the body, if all you want to do is kind of improve in your overall knitting skills. The reason that I say that is as soon as you kind of bring in fit to the equation, things start to get more complicated and more demanding, and I definitely think it's something that you would be able to move into. But if you're still hesitant with your skills, stick with something that's going to be a little bit more one size fits all rather than specific. So from the list of things that you have to knit, you have on there, for example, a hat, a shawl, a blanket and a cowl, All of those things I think would be really, really great. Obviously the hat requires a little bit more fitting, but you can get away with a really, really super slouchy hat. Definitely the shawl, the blanket or the cowl I think would be very forgiving, because they don't require a lot of fit to a physical form. Hat would probably be the next step up, and after that would be gloves and socks. Gloves, if they are fingered gloves, that's going to be a lot of work and a lot of kind of intricate knitting around fingers, and if you have been knitting for a while you'd definitely be able to do it, but it will be quite fiddly and sometimes that can be frustrating when you're starting out. Socks as well are great to knit, but if you're not necessarily used to fitting your feet, they can be a little bit demanding, and it can obviously be a little bit upsetting if you spend a really, really long time working on a pair of socks and then they don't fit you well afterwards. However, one thing that I would say, again, going back to the previous question that was asked by Michelle, practice makes perfect. Literally just keep going, keep knitting, keep trying different things that make you happy, and you will learn and improve as you go. So no matter what I say, if you want to jump into a sweater as your next kind of knitted project, you go for it. Just do what makes you happy and the skills will come with the practice and the experience. My last segment of the podcast is, as always, General Waffle. General Waffle. And I am more than a little bit aware that I have been going on and on throughout this podcast, and it's getting quite long already. I had quite a lot of stuff to talk about, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Like I said, it's been a bit hectic, as it has been. It's kind of an ongoing theme across the last several episodes, so thank you for bearing with that. A little bit hectic, a little bit stressful, a little bit intense, but there have been a lot of things that have been bringing me special amounts of joy, little things that I've acquired in the past kind of several weeks, and I just thought I'd share a couple of those things with you because some of them are ridiculous, some of them are really useful, some of them are fun, and I just like sharing more than just knitting on this podcast, and where better than General Waffle to kind of get a little bit more general rather than being so specific. So the first thing that I am really, really excited about, and I'm just really, really, really happy, and it's made me really excited, and oh my goodness, I'm just going to get to the point. The new trailer for Stranger Things Season 2 has just kind of dropped in the last couple of days, and oh my goodness, it looks amazing. I was a huge fan of Stranger Things Season 1. Stranger Things Season 2 is going to be incredible, I am sure. I love the cast. I think that the story from what they were hinting at in the trailer looks very, very interesting. It comes out at Halloween, which is one of my favourite times of year. I am so excited and I cannot wait. I will put the link for the trailer down below in my show notes, and I thoroughly recommend that you check it out. It's going to be awesome, and Emrys and I have already discussed that we may very well host a Stranger Things style Halloween party this year, because that would just be ridiculous in the best possible way. I have acquired some really quite fun things over the past week, some with the new job in mind, some just setting kind of good habits in mind. One of them, I have been looking for a water bottle for quite a long time, just because I want to encourage myself to drink more water. I think having a water bottle around will remind me to do so, and it will also mean that I can keep track of how much water I'm drinking any one day, because there's a specific amount in the bottle, so I know if I drink a whole bottle or half a bottle, it's going to help me keep track of my fluid intake. And I'm very picky. It takes me a while to kind of make a decision with something like a water bottle. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I finally found the water bottle of my dreams. It's a Pusheen one. So I don't know if you guys are a fan of Pusheen the cat, but I am, and this is just adorable. It says eat, sleep, eat, repeat, and Pusheen the cat is eating pizza, he's sleeping, and then eating a little donut at the bottom. It has a really cute pink top on this bottle, and I can't tell you how much happiness this is bringing me. It's utterly ridiculous and absurd, and I don't care because I think it's amazing. On a slightly more practical note, I've been trying to become more organised, particularly as I'm going towards the new role that I'm taking on. I want to make sure that I do everything really, really well. And in order to do so, I thought it was appropriate to buy myself a new notebook. And I know I have many, many, many notebooks already, and I didn't need to buy another one, but how could I resist a fluorescent yellow notebook? Now this is actually a new range by Paperchase, and I didn't realise that they actually kind of made notebooks like this, but what is exciting about it is that it's graphed, so lots and lots of squares. I usually buy notebooks that are blank white paper because I don't like being restricted in terms of lines. I find them really irritating, but the squared paper is great because you can use it much more in a bullet journal type sense, and it works really well. Plus this colour is so happy, it just makes me incredibly happy. But yes, from Paperchase, it's nice, it's solid, hard-backed, it's got this kind of almost moleskin-esque style kind of hard cover going on, but it's just brilliant and I love it, and I've already used it for a couple of days. It's helping me organise my life, and I'm hopefully going to be using it a lot more in the future. Another kind of bookish acquisition that happened over the last week is a new novel that I purchased. I shared this on Instagram because I was so excited when I bought it, but it's the new Carrie Hope Fletcher novel. It's called All That She Can See, and the tagline is "Every little thing she bakes is magic." For those of you who've watched my podcast for a while, you will know that I'm a very big fan of Carrie Hope Fletcher. I first discovered her through her YouTube channel. It's Way Past My Bedtime, which is very, very worthwhile checking out. It's really, really fun. It's full of some great video footage. She spends time in Disney, which is fun. She also works as a performer, so you get a lot of kind of behind the scenes footage from her, which is lovely. But this is the third book that she has written, the second work of fiction that she's written, and I very much enjoyed her first book, so of course I had to buy this when it came out. I don't want to give too much away, but the way that Carrie writes in general is that it's very much set in a real world with elements of magic kind of intertwined into that world, which is just perfect. Plus, this involves baked goods. Magic and baked goods in the same thing. It was always going to be a winner as far as I was concerned. I've only read a little bit of it so far, but I'm very much enjoying it, and it's going to be a good commute book, I think, for my travel in and out of London, so yay! The one last thing that has made me really, really happy over the last couple of days is that I have recently purchased not one, but two new pairs of glasses. For those of you who don't know, I actually tend to wear glasses the majority of my life. I don't wear them when I podcast because the light reflecting off the lenses when I film I find quite distracting, but I am relatively short-sighted, more so in my left eye than in my right eye, and just to kind of go about my day-to-day life, because it does include a lot of computer screens and driving and even watching the TV, I can't see things. Just my long distance vision is not great. I do tend to pretty much live in glasses. And I thought it was about time to treat myself to a nice pair of specs. And I actually went to Specsavers, which is an optician and glasses provider here in the UK, who do a very incredible deal of buy one, get one free on a lot of their different frames. And I tried on all different kinds of glasses, and I actually settled on two pairs from their Kylie Minogue range. Which, you know, I'm not averse to Kylie Minogue, but I'm not a huge fan, but her glasses are amazing. So I actually ended up picking two different frames. They are very similar shapes, but different colours. The first pair that I absolutely love are this lovely kind of dark brown, almost black on the top, with a very soft pinky bottom to the frame. I really, really like how these look. I think they're quite subtle because I'm used to wearing quite thick black frames on my face, and these have that look without being too overwhelming on my face. The other pair are quite a similar shape, but a very different colour. They are a very reddy brown tortoiseshell colour, which I really, really, really like. In different lights, it kind of picks up different colours, and I feel that these make me look a little bit like a librarian, kind of Ghostbusters receptionist-esque look, and that is pretty much what I want to channel in all my looks from now onwards, kind of librarian slash Ghostbusters receptionist. So I'm very, very happy with both of these pairs of glasses. The most exciting thing about them, other than the fact that they are amazing and I think that they suit me quite well, is that they both also came with these incredible cases, which are just bedazzled kind of rose gold glitter, and they are the best glasses cases that I've ever had in my life, and being a bit of a magpie, I'm a bit obsessed with them. I can't handle how amazing these are. So yeah, for those of you who will see me in real life, chances are I'll be sporting a pair of one of these glasses. So exciting. I'd totally wear these in the podcast if I didn't get weird shadows and stuff all over my face when I do wear them. But yes, you guys, that is everything from this week's Inside number 23. Thank you so much for watching, as always. If you've enjoyed the video, please do give us a thumbs up and hit subscribe. That way you will be kept up to date whenever there is a new video on this channel. But in general, there's going to be a new video every Monday, so always keep your eyes peeled on a Monday for the newest episode of Inside number 23. For now, I am going to go and do a lot of knitting on some of my lovely, lovely projects. I'm going to spend time with Emrys, and I think that we're going to start rewatching season 1 of Stranger Things. I'm very, very excited about that. But for now, from me to you, I will see you all really, really soon. I'm sending you huge amounts of love. I hope you all have an incredible week. Happy sewing, happy knitting, and I'll see you all again really, really soon. Bye! She bakes is magic. Every little thing she bakes is... That is going to be in your head. You're welcome for the earworm.